So you like the blues, but how often do you get tested on your blues guitar knowledge, okay? One of the things that most people don't do on the guitar is get tested. They don't know what they do know, if that makes sense. And today I want to give you a little quiz on the blues, because on my channel so far this year, the blues videos have been extremely popular. Some of them have had like massive amounts of views. So I'm going to test you on some of the things that I've covered in those videos and just some general blues stuff. It's going to really be helpful for you, and it's going to help you solidify what you know and what you don't know, and then you can fill in the blanks and have lots of fun. And that's what it's all about, okay? So if you enjoy little quizzes, Who Wants to Be a Millionaire, or The Chase, or anything like that, or a show called 15 to 1, which I used to love when I was a kid, big geek, I know, but then you're going to love this. If you like a good quiz, this is for you, okay? So in the blues, in a standard 12-bar blues, this is question number 1. What is the 1 chord, okay? If we're in the key of E. Right, do you even know what the 1 chord is? Do you know what the numbers mean and stuff like that, okay? If not, don't worry. But the 1 chord in the key of E would be the E chord, okay? There, everybody should know that, okay? The root chord, that's the 1 chord, okay? You can play it as an E, you can play it as an E7, okay? You don't even have to play standard chord shapes, you can do different voicings, like so I've done in various videos, like that, okay? There's lots of different ways to play the E chord. You can Travis pick it. You could do all sorts of stuff like that. You could do normal finger picking. That sort of thing. You can have loads of fun. But anyway, that's the first question, okay? The second question is, how many notes are in the minor pentatonic scale, okay? Now, a lot of people think, crikey, there's loads of notes, because you can learn that scale up and down the fretboard in lots of different positions, I used to do the E minor pentatonic scale, it's like this. And then you could do it up the fretboard. You could do different positions as well. But how many notes are there? Well, how many different notes are there should be the question. Okay, the answer to that is 5. There's 5 different notes. If we're in the key of E and we're doing the E minor pentatonic scale, we've got 5 different notes, and they are E, G, which is fret 3 of the low E string, A, which is the open A string, 2nd fret of the A string, which is B, and then open D. So E, G, A, B, D. And that's it. If you play those 5 notes anywhere on the fretboard, any combination of them, you're going to have the minor pentatonic scale. That's just 4 of them in that position. So you don't really have to know lots of shapes. If you know the fretboard and you know those 5 notes, you can learn little mini shapes and move them around, which is really useful, instead of just like learning lots of different shapes. One of the biggest frustrations I had when I was learning, and I've seen it with other students of the guitar as well, is that a lot of teachers will say, oh, if you want to learn the minor pentatonic scale, you've got to learn it in 5 fingerboard positions. And that just means learning lots and lots of shapes. And it's really useful if you're a hardcore blues player, or you like playing a lot of classic rock. But if you just like to dabble and you just want to have a bit of fun, it's a bit much for a lot of people. But it's well worth knowing the notes off by heart. E, G, A, B, D. Okay, nearly forgot them then myself, but you know what I mean? It's worth knowing them off by heart and being able to find them everywhere on the fretboard, okay? It's really useful. Third question then is, what are the chords in a 12-bar blues in the key of E, okay? Well, hopefully you know what they are. Number 1, the first chord is E. The 4 chord would be A. The 5 chord would be B. And we normally play them as like 7th chords, but you don't have to. You can play it E, A, B, okay? But if you play it as 7th chords, okay, it can sound a little bit more bluesy. So it's worth knowing them as well, okay? But you always want to know what the 1, 4, 5 are, okay? The 1, 4, 5 in every key. And that leads us on to the next question. What are the 1, 4, 5 chords in the key of A? Okay? Different key we're talking about now for the first time, but the key of A is also really, really useful on the guitar. It's well worth knowing. Okay? The 1 chord then is the chord of A, which will always be the case. The 4 chord is a D, and the 5 chord is an E. And again, if I play them as 7th chords, it's like this. A, D, E. Okay. So it's worth being able to take your knowledge that you've got in one key and transfer it to another key as well. Next question then. So going back to the key of E, what is the highest area of the fretboard that you can play the minor pentatonic scale in E? Might be a bit of a bizarre question in some ways, but some people just can't play the minor pentatonic scale any higher than the open high E string. So they'll play it up to that point and they'll be like, okay, I can't go any higher, I don't know where to go or what to do. Okay? Or some people will just play the same scale, 12 frets higher, which works out pretty well, you know, if you've got a cutaway guitar so you can reach higher, but if not, you're struggling. But it's worth having range. One thing I talk about with scales, because what's better than learning lots of different scale shapes is having more range with your scales. One thing I like to get students to do is play a scale in the typical box position down here, but then be able to play it up and down the high E string, because it gives you range. Now my top note in that scale is fret 12 of the high E. Okay, and then you can like have range instead of being able, you know, having my top note as that. My top note is now, so I could do more stuff and get more pitch. If I was just to learn lots of different box shapes like this, and then this, you know, I'm just playing the same notes in a different position. I'm not really getting much out of it. But whereas if I play it up and down the high E string, boom, straight away I've got more range, and that's really cool. It's kind of like, you know, you look at the piano. If somebody was playing a piano and they was just only staying on a certain few notes, it's not very exciting. Whereas if all of a sudden the piano grows and gets bigger and they've got more range and they can reach for those notes higher up, it's like, I've got more to add to my musical palette. It's a lot more exciting, it's more ingredients, okay? So that's really cool. So what I was doing there was playing the minor pentatonic scale in a very standard open position, which most people know. I'll recap it: 0-3 on the low E, 0-2 on the A, 0-2 on the D, 0-2 on the G, 0-3 on the B, 0-3 on the high E. That's the standard way. But then when you do it on the high E string, it's quite simple. So it's not as many notes because you're only doing one octave. It's open 3-5. 7, 10, 12. And you know, if you're playing in a band, you can use those notes on their own, but if you're playing on acoustic, you can pinch the low E and play those notes. And you get a bit of richness from the low note and the high note. And then you can do the normal box position and play about with the two. Do little fun stuff like that, you know, you don't have to go crazy. Okay, final question now. In the key of E, what is the blues note? What's the blue note? Okay, now you might think, well, what is that? I don't even know what that is. Okay, if that's the case, that's okay. But basically, the blues scale is exactly the same as the minor pentatonic scale with one extra note added, which is really cool. And in the key of E, we're adding the note of A sharp. Okay, and it doesn't sound like much on its own, but if we was to play the minor pentatonic scale as normal, just one octave, like that, it sounds cool. But then if we add in that extra note, that first fret of the A string, sounds cool, especially when we do some cool stuff like that, okay? So all we're doing is adding an A sharp note, okay? If we take it back to that high E string, we've got open, 3, 5, 7, 10 and 12. Remember what the notes were from earlier on in the little quiz? E is open, G is fret 3, A is 5, B is 7, D is 10 and E is 12. Okay, so we're adding in the A sharp. All we got to do for the A sharp is find the A, which was on that high E string, 5th fret, and then just move up a fret for the A sharp. Okay, when you play it on its own, it's like a bit disjointed, or discordant. It sounds a bit weird, but when you put it in with the music, it can sound cool. So you normally use that blues note as a relaxing note, so you don't hang around on it. You don't do this. Not very often, because it sounds a bit strange. You want to resolve it. See, I just did a quick 5, 6, 7 on the high E. And then you can go to 12, which is the E note, and that really resolves it. And all that is there is just open low E and high E, 3rd fret high E. Okay, this is a little fun lick you can do. And back to open high E. So 0, 3, 0 on the high E, basically 5, 6, 7 on the high E, to 12. And then you could just run down that scale. And just go mixing up open strings and fretted notes from the scale. But I'm not really here like today to show you loads of different ideas. This is more to test your knowledge, give you different things to think about, open up your mind and solidify the knowledge that you already have. The blues videos on my channel have been extremely popular so far, so I hope you enjoyed this one. It's a little bit different, it's a little bit fun, but if you want some good bluesy workouts, stuff that you'll really enjoy, check this out and have a load of fun. Thanks so much for watching, keep enjoying the blues, and I'll see you soon. Bye bye.